Well, looks like it's time for reminiscing, and from what we're hearing, Jaylen Brown's been doing a lot of it. We're talking about the 2018 NBA playoffs here. Brown hasn't forgotten that time, and now, 4 years after the game, the Celtics player has a lot to say about LeBron's performance in that game. Without further ado, let's get into it.
But first, a reminder about our brand new giveaway. We're giving away a PS5 with a copy of NBA 2022 and Madden 22. All you have to do is watch the full video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. It's that simple.
First up, Jaylen Brown opens up about how he felt when he lost to legend LeBron in 2018. None of us ever had any doubt about LeBron James and the consistency of his performances. The man has created a legacy, and we all know how much other players revere him for it. So it's no surprise some players feel more than happy to just play a match against him, even if they don't win, because in the end, they can try to learn from a legend. That's what matters most. And now we've got Jaylen Brown talking about how he felt when his team lost to LeBron James almost 4 years ago in the 2018 NBA playoffs. It's time for a blast into the past with how Brown's reminiscing about that match. There's a lot to be said, and as 4 years have already passed, feelings about that match must have changed quite drastically. Among basketball fans, it's kind of like an unspoken agreement. James possesses a pretty brilliant ability to take apparently weak teams all the way to the NBA Finals. There's some magic in the way he plays and brings a team together so well. In light of that, a lot of you will agree with us when we say one of James' best playoffs was back in 2018, and Brown's words just prove it. James always has been the best, indeed. Let's take a look at what Brown had to say. So without stalling any longer, we think we should dive into what exactly Brown has to say about LeBron's game in 2018. Okay, in case you don't have a photographic memory, back in 2018, we saw a pretty young Celtics team engaged in quite an intense match against LeBron James at the Eastern Conference Finals. When we tell you it was one very intense match, we're not kidding. You best believe us. Even though when the match started, the Celtics had an advantage because they were in the lead, they couldn't overcome LeBron's amazing and dominating basketball play. When that man plays, he plays. And the way he carries his team, it's pretty impressive. Jaylen Brown admitted that he knew that he and his team had already lost the match way before they even stepped inside the basketball court. It's just something about LeBron James. As impressive as he is, it can feel quite intimidating at times. What's more, Brown believes that the LeBron he faced during the 2018 NBA playoffs was the best one. According to the Celtics player, LeBron was in optimum shape back then, and it was quite thrilling to be in a match against him. Moving on, what the Celtics were like back then. Like we said, Jaylen Brown openly admitted that the Celtics had relatively new, inexperienced members back in 2018. But Brown also talked about how they didn't make that bad of a team. In fact, it was full of great potential. The only drawback then was that they didn't have Kyrie Irving. In many ways, Brown believes that if they did have Kyrie on the team, they may have had quite a chance to beat LeBron. Well, we never got to see that, so we don't know how true that would have been. But what happened, and we can all keep wondering if the Celtics would have won the championship back in 2018 if they had Kyrie. There were a lot of young faces in the Celtics at the 2018 playoffs, but the good thing is they got a lot of experience out of that match. What's more, they got to play against LeBron James. If anything, we've got to say they must have learned a lot from him. Coming up, the way the Celtics performed in the 2022 playoffs. And now, flash forward 4 years later, we can say the team's gotten stronger. After all, it was an experience they all needed. With more experience, you get a better hang of the game, and what's more, you end up learning quite a lot about your opponents, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Basketball isn't just about scoring a basket. A lot of thought and strategy goes into it. We've already seen the Celtics give some really tough competition this season. Safe to say, it's been a great joy seeing them play since we even saw them in the NBA Finals. Even though they couldn't defeat the Golden State Warriors, we think they'll still deserve a pat on the back for working so hard and giving such an amazing performance throughout the season. It's pretty impressive, we must say. What's more, they made it to the finals. That's a great achievement in itself. Finally, how was it possible for the Celtics to defeat the Golden State Warriors back then? We've gone on and on about LeBron James and his absolutely brilliant basketball legacy, and well, there's a reason. When we say James gave the Celtics a pretty tough time in 2018, we mean it, because we've got some really huge numbers to back up that claim. James averaged 33.6 points in that game. What's more, he scored 9 rebounds and 8.4 assists. Now, let's take a look at some of the average points of the Celtics players. There were probably 5 players on the Boston Celtics who had 10 or more points per game. The only person with more than that was Jaylen Brown with 19.7 points to his name. Taking all that into account, it feels like even with a pretty good core, the Celtics could never have won a game against LeBron James. Like Brown said, LeBron was in his best shape back then. If they couldn't defeat James, can you imagine them defeating the Warriors? Yeah, it seems impossible, because we all know about the Warriors and their death lineup. With Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson on the team, team, the Celtics never stood a chance. Now, in other related news. First off, Kawhi Leonard is back, and the man holds great promise. Everyone knows that Kawhi Leonard is a man of his own. He's back after his knee surgery, and we're so glad to see him playing so well. He sure knows when to give us his best. Even though Leonard played after some 16 months, he played pretty well. He ended up leading the Los Angeles Clippers to quite an amazing victory against the Los Angeles Lakers. Talking of scores, Leonard ended up with a pretty good 14 points and 7 rebounds in a game he played almost 16 months after his knee injury. The guy still got game, and it's good to know he hasn't lost his footing. Now, for how Kevin Durant stood up for Russell Westbrook. The criticism against Russell Westbrook just keeps pouring in, but we've got Kevin Durant standing up for the point guard. There's a lot to be said here. There have been videos of Westbrook all by himself during practice sessions while the rest of the team's practicing together. He's been obviously scrutinized for not playing well either, and well, the man's definitely being cornered. But Durant's got a lot to say about this. Durant believes that Westbrook has always had his own routine, and that doesn't necessarily make him selfish. Durant also openly called out those who've been making some very toxic jokes about Westbrook. Yeah, it's okay to criticize your favorites when they've not been giving the game their best, but there's always a way to do it, and according to Durant, toxic humor just doesn't cut it. Finally, here's what Stephen Curry has to say about the whole Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole fiasco. There are a lot of good basketball teams out there, but we've all looked at the Golden State Warriors as an ideal. 3 of the key players have been on the team together since 2012, so you can imagine the kind of team spirit they possess. Of course, we're talking about Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. For the longest time, the team's been drama-free until recently at a training camp. A video emerged of Green punching his fellow player Jordan Poole in the face. So much for team spirit, huh? Some of us would think that an incident like this would be a huge setback, but then the Warriors won a game against the Lakers on Monday, and we're wondering what's holding the team together. And the answer is Stephen Curry. Curry talked about how he's been the mediator in this entire fiasco, and with how he talked, we can say that the man's definitely mature because he knows how to handle these things. He believes that every team has its hard days. They just have to find a way to get through and try to deal with the reality of things. No wonder the team did so well despite all the drama. That's a wrap for this video. What do you make of Brown's comments on LeBron's game in 2018? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.